So you're welcome to this session or this edition of Wedding on Budget. We'll be talking more about public relation in the wedding industry. And I'll give you a little bit of background about the PR industry, how PR all started in the world. And then I'll tell you some importance of PR and how you as a vendor in the wedding industry can stay competitive, because I know that there are so many people doing similar things to what you're doing. So how do you use PR to stay relevant, to stay important, and to stay competitive in the market? So now let's talk about public relation. In the 1920s in America, there was a tobacco industry and the president of that tobacco industry at that time was called George Washington Hill. So what happened is that since the First World War, women had been fighting for equality. And you and I know that even as of now, women are still fighting for equality. They want to make sure they have a fair representation in everything that men do in parliament, in jobs, in salary, in almost everything that men do. So at that time, women were very limited in their roles. Things like driving a car, women were not allowed to. Things like joining the army and other roles that are now male dominated, women were not allowed to do it. And one of them was smoking. It was actually immoral. People who smoked, or women in particular who smoked during that time, were considered prostitutes, were considered immoral. And then they were also considered not kind of marriage material. It's just not good in the side of the society. Even as of now, in countries like our country, Ghana, you actually cannot smoke in public. And if you are a woman and you smoke, it's a disaster. So that was what was happening in the 1920s after the World War. So this tobacco industry, who was led by the president, George Washington Hill, just sat down and said, men smoke and it's boosting my business. So if I manage to get women to join the smoking pattern, it will boost my business more. So what did he do? He went to see this man called Edward Bernays, or short form Eddie Bernays. He went to see the man and told him his story. He said, Eddie, I need women to join this smoking pattern to increase my tobacco business, to make sure my cigarette sells and I make more money. So Eddie was paid $25,000 at that time, very, very whopping amount of money, to really have a campaign to get women to join the smoking pattern. So what did Eddie do? Eddie sat down and thought through this campaign and came out with very, very key message to sell to the public. Remember, Eddie did not just get up to organize the campaign. He made sure that he crafted his messages well with the aim of changing the perception of women at that time to start smoking. So Eddie was now looking at how he can get the public, especially the women, to join this smoking lane. And then he said, women, you're fighting for equality with men. What are some of the things that when you do, you can be equal to men? If you smoke, you are superior, just like at that time when men were superior. If you smoke, you will be as superior as man. When you smoke, you will be fashionable. When you smoke, you will be classified as man in a woman's skin. And finally, when you smoke, you are emancipating yourself. You are liberating yourself from this women association of inferior and belittling at that time. So Eddie came out with this beautiful message, torches of freedom. So he said, if you're a woman and you light up a cigarette, that cigarette signifies a torch which is liberating you and giving you the freedom as a woman to do anything you want on this earth. Then came this story where Edmond Bernays organized a parade and got 10 to 15 women who were very fashionable at that time to smoke in public, which was widely unacceptable at that time. So these young women who paraded themselves in the public to smoke had this Lucky Strike cigarette, which was at that time one of the cigarette brands for the tobacco industry, which was headed by George Washington Hill. They smoked in public. It was a big news, which was carried by the popular media house at that time, and said an ancient prejudice has been removed. The time when women had no right to come out to smoke, that time is over. Now women can smoke, because if you smoke, you are seen as fashionable. If you smoke, you're seen as more powerful. If you smoke, you're seen as superior as a man. And if you smoke, you are free. That is the torches of freedom. So using cigarettes, these are some of the pictures. Women lighting up their cigarettes as freedom, as liberation, as emancipation. Now, this tells us how important a message can be. What did Bernays do? Like I said earlier, he crafted the message. He deliberately planned the message with the intention to change public perception. And in the end, these torches of freedom, making women smoke in public, has since been recognized. And as of now, in Western countries like where I am currently in Australia, women freely smoke in public places, and it's legal for them to do that, including men. So his campaign won the hearts of many, and he became the pioneer, the father of public relations, because using key messages, deliberate and conscious message, to affect and impact the perception of women at that time was very, very important. And that practice has been there, and since has been there by public relation officers, and they're using this particular information to raise awareness and then to change public perception. So what is public relation then? When we say PR, what is it? So one definition can be, it's a strategical approach towards the creation of goodwill and brand image through developing a cordial relationship between the organization and its target audience. That is one definition of PR. Another one will say it's a deliberate and conscious effort. So once any person or a PR practitioner plans his or her message with a conscious effort of impacting or affecting people's perception, that message becomes a PR message. So the idea is that the aim is to change public's perception. So let's go to why PR. Why do we do public relation? And why do companies and organizations invest so much in public relation practice? Why do they have public relation department? We will look at some of the importance of public relations. And the first one is increase awareness. I will explain that when we get to the slide. Create brand image and reputation, develop loyalty, promote goodwill, build trust and credibility. Now, let's explain increase awareness, and then I will explain this in relation to you as a wedding vendor, not as a company with a PR department, because I want to make it as tailored to your need as possible. Let's start with increase awareness. You are a vendor, you are a photographer, you are a makeup artist, you sell jewelries, you sell accessories, you are a chef, you are a cook, you are a caterer. How can you use public relations to increase awareness? That should be our question. Now, increasing awareness means letting people know what you do. Let your family know what you do. Let your friends know what you do. Let your social groups know what you do. Maybe you belong to a church. Maybe you are a student and you are still doing photography, a little bit of selling accessories and jewelries, doing makeup, doing your cooking and catering services. You need to tell your family what you're doing. Tell your friends among you. Tell your small social group. Tell your church, tell your school what you do. For all you know, people in the church are the ones who get married. So in the end, if they know you, if they know what you do, if they know what you are into, when there is a program, apart from even wedding, when there are programs like the church is organizing fundraising, if there is anything like anniversary celebration, you can be called as a photographer to shoot. You can be called as a caterer to prepare meal. You can be called as a makeup artist to come and get those who are directly involved in that program dressed up. So you need to make sure you let people around you know what you're doing. You can use PR to do that. You can also create business cards as a vendor, creating awareness. You are creating something like business cards. So when you attend public events, when you go to church, you share your business cards and create awareness, letting people know what you do. You can also print flyers with information on all the services that you render, and you share to the public. You give it to anyone you meet when you attend programs. You give it to anyone you meet when you go to church, when you go to school. So you increase awareness with all these little things as a vendor. You also make sure you are present on the major media platforms. You know, nowadays, social media is very, very powerful. So be present on social media, the major social media platforms, and make sure you send messages across. Tell people what you do constantly and consistently. So create a Facebook account, create Instagram account, especially those of you who are into photography and makeup. You know, when you take photos, beautiful photos, you create an Instagram account and you share those photos. People see, people watch, and invite people to like and follow you. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And if you are a caterer, you are a cook, you can create a YouTube account and just take a video of some of the food that you share in the public domain, or when you get invited or when you get contracts and you make beautiful dishes. Take video, 30 seconds video, 1 minute video, and share on YouTube for people to know the variety of food that you prepare, the services that you make. These are all ways to increase awareness. So that is how you can use PR to increase awareness as a vendor. Let's go to the second one. Create brand image and reputation. How do you do that? And how do you use PR to create brand image and reputation as a vendor? You can have a nicely designed logo with a beautiful and catchy colors, so that when people see the logo, they associate your business with you. You can have a mantra. An example can be, we say no sorry. That is your reputation, that is your brand, and that is your image. As for this company, their mantra is they say no sorry. What it means is that you are creating the impression and giving people the benefit of the doubt that you do not give room for mistakes to happen when you're rendering your services. When you're a photographer, you're a makeup artist, you tell people, as for me and my service, we don't make mistake. So people say, oh, this company, they say no sorry because they make sure every service they deliver is just top notch, is perfect. So have that brand logo and create a mantra. Let people associate that mantra with you when they mention your product name or service. Another importance of public relation is goodwill. So public relation basically paves the way for creating substantial goodwill for the company. You know, they always say that good name is better than riches. You use public relation to have or to carve a good name for your product or for your service. One other importance of public relation is develop loyalty. You can use PR to develop the loyalty of your customers. How do you do that as a vendor? You need to make sure you are available and ever ready to listen to your customers. Customers want to be listened to. Customers will call you 24/7 to tell you their grievances. You have to be patient with them. You have to listen to them no matter what the situation. You have to respond to your messages, calls, and emails all the time. If you want to develop that loyalty with your customers, be there for them 24/7. Understand and empathize with them. You need to be in their shoes. Remember, for instance, if you are a caterer, a makeup artist, and a bride at that time is very anxious and waiting for something to be done, and it's not done at that time, just put yourself in the shoe of the bride or the groom and just empathize with them and make sure you understand them and tackle their needs. You develop that loyalty with them, and in the end, loyalty, one importance of loyalty is ensure repeated buying. So in the end, that person trusts you and develops that loyalty with you. On a second attempt, the person will come back to you and patronize your product again or your service again. If it's a wedding, there are always anniversaries to celebrate. So the person always comes back to you to patronize your service because of the initial very good relationship and loyalty you had with them. So this is how you can use public relation to develop loyalty with your customers as a vendor. The other importance of public relation and what you can use public relation for is to build trust and credibility. How do you do that as a vendor? You have to make sure you are very, very transparent in all your dealings. Be very open. Everybody wants to know the truth. Everybody wants to trust people, but truth is everything. So make sure you are very transparent. Do not make profits as your core objective. Of course, this is a business that you are rendering. It's a service that you're rendering, and one of the aims is to make profit, but don't make profit as your core objective. You need to make sure you develop a very good relationship with your customers, and one of them is to build trust. If a customer has trust in you for the first interaction, of course, there will always be a repeated buy-in or repeated patronize of your service. So don't make profit as your core objective. Remember always to build trust.